So here we are in the next lesson on the final checklist module. What I want to talk to you about today is one of the things I get asked about far more than any other thing in my life as an entrepreneur, and that is, how do you grow an audience online? And specifically, a lot of people want to know how I've grown my audience on Instagram. So this lesson is going to be the lesson that's chock full of all the tips and secrets that I don't tell anybody but you guys. The first thing I want you to understand isn't necessarily about Instagram, but it's about social media strategy in general. The expert on this is a guy named Gary Vee. And actually his last name isn't V, I just don't know how to pronounce it. Gary has a book called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. And he uses boxing as an analogy to explain that you have to give and give before you can ask for a take. This is one of the big mistakes I see entrepreneurs make. I was on Instagram just yesterday and I clicked over to someone's feed and it's full of sale promos. Picture after picture of someone just saying, buy this, buy this, buy this. I unfollowed them immediately, but I was sad that they didn't understand better how to tell a story on Instagram to engage their audience. So the first thing I want you to understand going into this is that social media is a two-way communication channel, and it's important for you to realize that you need to give more than you take on that communication channel. The second tip I have for you about building an audience following on Instagram or any other social media channel is leave a little something to the imagination. Mystery adds intrigue and curiosity delights followers. So make sure that you don't tell the whole story all at one time. That leads me to my third point, which is this: drip your story out over time. You need to look at your Instagram post or your tweets or any of your posts on social media as beads or pearls in a necklace. And what you want to do with those posts is zoom in and get a close-up shot of that little tiny element. But you still want to tell the big story so that when someone backs out and they look at your whole Instagram feed, they're seeing the picture of the entire necklace, if you will. The fourth tip I have for you is don't just make your Instagram feed a highlight reel. Don't make your Twitter feed just a highlight reel. One of the things that I posted a long time ago that's resonated with people all over the world and shocked me is the struggles part of the story. And that's so important to remember. Part of what is going to make you human to your audience is them seeing you struggle. And I know that I'm asking you to be a little bit vulnerable here, but I promise it pays off. And remember, you don't have to be vulnerable in every post and you don't have to struggle in every post. You just need to be real about what's going on in your life and be authentic about it and sprinkle it in as those things organically occur in your real life. The fifth tip I have for you is this: remember to continually reintroduce your story. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's say that you get 50 new followers a week. Those 50 new followers probably don't know who you are or where you came from or what your story is. And if you post a picture of your mom, they're not going to know that that's a picture of your mom. So if you decide to post something like that, figure out how you can phrase the caption on that image to introduce the characters in that story so that people can become familiar with the characters in your life. The sixth tip I have for you, and this is one I personally religiously implement, is memorize your top 5 values, and before you post anything, ask yourself, does that post track back to one of your top 5 values? I literally have a checklist in my head, and before I post anything on Instagram, I ask myself if it relates to one of my top 5 values, which are faith, family, gratitude, creativity, and personal growth. If I can't track an Instagram post back to one of those top 5 values, I'm not going to post it. Posting it would sort of cloud my messaging and it would confuse people about my brand. So tracking back to my top 5 values keeps my brand messaging clear and consistent. The seventh tip I have for you is when you post something, don't write to an audience of however many people are following you. Write to one person. Something that's really helped me connect to my audience on Instagram and on social media is thinking about people one person at a time. So if I post something and it only gets one comment or one like, I still realize that I've made a good difference in someone's life that day, and that's all that matters. So it's not about the giant audience. It really is about connecting with individuals. The remaining tips I have to give you are kind of funny and kind of silly, so you're gonna have to bear with me, but they work. When we talked about customers, we talked about how customers don't really care about you. They care about what you can do for them. So something that people love is inspiration. If you have something inspiring go through your mind that's original to you, or if you feel inspired by a certain quote and you can find a pretty image of that quote to share, people love inspiring quotes on Instagram. Also make sure that that aligns with your brand. If you're not a super inspirational person and you start posting inspiring quotes, your audience is probably gonna get turned off by that. So definitely make sure that some of these tips I'm giving you line up with you and who you feel like you are authentically. The next piece of information that is incredibly important, especially on Instagram, is good photography matters. It's not hard to learn how to take a good picture. Definitely make sure you have natural light. And I've invested in a couple of reflectors and diffusers that I keep beside my desk just to make sure that a photo that I'm about to put on Instagram has the extra pop it needs. I'm also a big fan of an app called PicTapGo for editing my photos. All of these things can help ensure that you have really pretty photography. Light and bright is definitely the name of the game. Anyone can make a dark colored, muddy, brown photo. So definitely try to improve your photography skills and just look at that as a hobby that you can practice over time. I've had a lot of fun learning a little bit more about photography and making my Instagram feed a little bit prettier. Along those lines, there are definitely photographs that work better on Instagram. I'm embarrassed to tell you guys this, but it's the truth. And if you have one of these things and it syncs up with your brand, you can use it to your advantage. Those things are, Instagram loves pictures of puppies and cute small animals. They just do. The second thing, Instagram loves pictures of babies. If you can take good pictures of your baby and you're comfortable putting pictures of your baby on Instagram, that's definitely a way to grow your audience. And the third thing that Instagram loves is pictures of a desk. And I feel like it's almost become cliche to have a pair of gold scissors and a gold stapler on your desk. But a desk shot is definitely a fun thing that people on Instagram have come to love and connect over. And if that works with your brand, it's definitely a great strategy for building an audience. So if you have a puppy and a baby and a pair of gold scissors and a stapler, you might have the most famous Instagram shot of all time. Two other things that work really well are tactics that help promote community engagement. And those are regrams. So finding something else that maybe another creative entrepreneur has posted and just sharing that message with your followers. That can be a way to earn trust with an Instagram community and help someone else at the same time. Along those lines, participating in Follow Fridays with like-minded entrepreneurs can be a great way to introduce your brand to a different audience. You can find Follow Friday groups on Instagram, or you could even try to connect with some other creative entrepreneurs over in the forum and exchange some Follow Friday information there. So this might lead to another question about how do you find and connect with people on Instagram or on social media? Fortunately, the internet is a place that's all about community, and it's easy to connect with other people. I've received instant messages, direct messages, things like that from people asking me to participate in all kinds of different things, giveaways, promotions, whatever. I can't always participate, but I never fault anyone or judge anyone for asking. The worst thing anybody can say is no, so don't ever be afraid to ask for an exchange or a favor in the social media world. The people who say yes will probably become part of your tribe and will probably become part of your community. And the people who say no, it's totally okay. Don't worry about them. Along the lines of community, another thing that you can do on Instagram is find people who've created a series of introduction hashtags. And what I mean by that is a hashtag that maybe a group or a community has started where they use to continually reintroduce themselves. Some friends of mine from the Influence Network have started this using the hashtag Friday Introductions. So check that out, and that might be a way for you to connect with some like-minded people as well. The next tip I have is kind of funny, and I have to admit I'm almost slightly embarrassed to tell you, but appearances do matter. I've posted Instagram pictures with no makeup, and I've posted Instagram pictures with makeup. And even though I'm pretty sure all of these people are my friends, they like me better in makeup than they like me without makeup. The last 3 tips I have for you, anybody can practice. The first of the last 3 is encourage. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody else, give them a pat on the back, congratulate them, or tell them that they've done a good job. That can go a really long way to building community and relationships in the social media world. The next one is, don't be afraid to leave a comment. Sometimes this takes more time, and if you're really busy, I realize you may not want to comment on other people's posts, but if you want to build a community and an audience, you need to do that. You need to reach out to other people and let them know that you're connecting with their brand as well. And the last tip I have for you is engage with your audience. When someone leaves a comment on your Instagram post or replies to you at Twitter, engage them in conversation. Leave a comment back. Tell them thank you. Let them know that you have seen and heard what they have to say. That's going to make them feel important and valued and might make them a more devoted customer to your brand. So that's my summary of things that work on Instagram in the social media world. I hope you love it. There's a checklist for you to download and use, and it's got a couple of exercises on there for you to fill out as well. So go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in the next lesson.